الحمد لله رب السماوات والأرض رب العالمين وله الكبرياء في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. الحمد لله الذي بنعمته تتم الصالحات. ربنا لك الحمد حتى ترضى ولك الحمد إذا رضيت ولك الحمد بعد الرضا. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيد الأولين والآخرين محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ملك الحق المبين، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صفيه من خلقه وخليله وأمين على وحيه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما يعملون. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, all praise and glory and thanks are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We owe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala everything we have. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِّعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. And we should always feel and remind ourselves that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us so much that there is hardly anything we can do to thank Him enough for it. That feeling is extremely important for your iman, for the strength of your iman, the feeling that you are indebted and you are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because in Quran you can see gratitude was mentioned in contrast to kufr. وَمَنْ شَكَرَ فَإِنَّمَا يَشْكُرُ لِنَفْسِهِ وَمَنْ كَفَرَ. That the whole foundation, the heart of our religion is gratitude, is to feel that gratitude towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Plus the other feeling, which is that you are the dependence, the fact that you are completely dependent on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything. Everything that you have is coming from Allah, including your rizq, your provision, your salary, whatever is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِّعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ مَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ حَسَنَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. That dependence is important. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. The moment you feel self-sufficient, that you don't, that's where you start deviating. So that dependence, feeling of dependence, الناس أنتم فقراء إلى الله والله هو الغني الحميد. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, we'll be talking inshallah about Ramadan, more and more to appreciate this great season that unfortunately not many Muslims take full advantage of it. It's the same attitude that we have. Now we revere the Quran, but our relationship with it is very superficial. We revere the Prophet ﷺ, but we don't take him as a role model. We revere Ramadan, respect Ramadan and like Ramadan, but we don't take full advantage of it. It is this dichotomy that has to be fixed, that if you really appreciate something, then you have to take full advantage of it. Ramadan is not just a season of worship. That's what a lot of Muslims do not realize, that it is not just a season or 1 month in which you're going to pray a little more, do a little more Quran, and then close the parenthesis and go back to your business, to your life business as usual. That's not what was meant. I mean, anybody who understands Ramadan this way, they have to fix it, because we're starting with the wrong intention. We're starting with the wrong purpose. He said, begin with the end in mind. Anything that you try to do, you have to think about what is your goal, and that's at the heart of our religion. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. So whatever you're doing, always ask yourself, why am I doing it? If that's your understanding of Ramadan, then you have to fix it. Ramadan is a season and opportunity for transformation. It's a season and opportunity for upgrading your iman and your spirituality. You work hard during Ramadan to reach new heights, to reach a new level. So if someone enters Ramadan with this intention that you're going to have some temporary improvement in Ramadan, that's what you're going to get. You get what you are working for. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. If that's your intention, you're going to finish Ramadan the same person, but you're going to have that temporary improvement during Ramadan. If you enter Ramadan, and it's never too late to enter Ramadan, by the way. Every day is a fresh start. So even if you did not have a very strong start, it's still possible to catch up and to change that idea, that mindset. If you enter Ramadan and understand it as an opportunity for permanent change, then you're going to handle it very differently and you're going to work harder in Ramadan. Any habit, any good habit that you want to acquire, Ramadan is the best time for it. No matter how hard it is. Because there are habits are not easy to change, by the way. Habits are not easy to change because they are with you for so long, so they are not easy to change, either to acquire or to get rid of. But if there is a chance, it is in Ramadan. Because you're in Ramadan, you're very strong. Your willpower, irada, azima, is very high. That's the moment, to seize that moment, to acquire any good habit that you didn't have. And we'll talk about some of those good habits. Any bad habits that you want to get rid of, you have no better chance than Ramadan. The time to get rid of any bad habits. Some of the best accomplishments in Ramadan, some of the best things that we can accomplish. One, self-restraint and discipline. Ramadan is a perfect mechanism to strengthen your brakes, your ability to restrain yourself. As you are preventing yourself from eating and drinking, you can prevent yourself from anything else. So strengthen works on your brakes and discipline. A lot of us feel that in Ramadan we become much more organized and much more disciplined. We eat at a certain time, finish Taraweeh, sleep early, suhoor, etc. So things, it teaches you discipline. But you have to try to keep it. Whatever you learn, you train, you practice in Ramadan, you try to keep it because you will not have a better chance. What is discipline? Doing the right thing even if it is not convenient. That's something you learn in Ramadan and you acquire. Doing the right thing even when it is not convenient. And restraining yourself from doing something wrong even if it is tempting. That's discipline. Discipline when you can force yourself to do something even though it is not convenient. And when you can restrain yourself even though it is very tempting. In Ramadan, your level of discipline becomes much stronger. If you enter it with the right intention and you keep that afterwards. Another benefit is to discover your hidden capabilities and abilities. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates us with a lot of potential. A lot of it we're not even aware it exists. In Ramadan, we find out and we discover that we are doing a lot more than we think we can. Can you imagine doing what you're doing in Ramadan? Sometimes you cannot even believe yourself that you're managing with fewer hours of sleep, with Taraweeh every night, with a lot of things that you do in Ramadan. It shows you how capable you are. All of these are capabilities that are hidden. It's a potential that you have, but you did not dig it out before. And one of the best habits, that's one we're going to focus on in Ramadan, is to fix your relationship with the Quran once and for all. Vast majority of Muslims all over the world, their relationship with the Quran is deficient. Starting from those who have no relationship. And you and I know there are many people who hardly have any relationship with the Quran. Now they have many masahif at home. They reveal Quran. But they have no relationship. There is no interaction with the Quran. And that's a good percentage of Muslims. And then things will become narrow and narrow. You have people who read the Quran every now and then. No commitment, no consistency. Occasionally, every now and then they may read or listen to the Quran. You have some people who memorize Quran. They try to memorize. You have people who learn how to read Quran properly, tajweed. But how many people, how many Muslims you know of who are studying the Quran? How many? If we do a survey here, even in this masjid, never mind having the whole Muslim population, talking about people who are practicing and committed, how many, what's the percentage of Muslims who are studying the Quran, studying the same way they study their textbook in college? Reading, understanding, taking notes, searching, etc. So at least the same way that you studied your whatever subject that you studied in college. How many people, or what's the percentage of people who have regular session of studying the Quran? Regular, daily. Or in college they were studying daily. In college you were studying material daily. How many, or what is the percentage of people who have a daily session of Quran, with the Quran, reading and reflecting and contemplating? This is what is expected. That's the normal situation. It becomes the exception now, but we have to work hard to bring it, to make it the norm. That normal situation for all of us, individually and collectively, either in a family or a study group, is to be studying the Quran. So you always, when we meet, you always have a new verse or a new interpretation of a verse that you came across, and people will be exchanging which surah you are focusing on these days, what did you learn, etc. And people will be sharing with one another. The way we should be reading Quran is again the same way good student study for their courses. If you enter a library, college library, see the level of concentration, people, that's exactly the same level Muslims should have when it comes to the Quran. Not just reading it without understanding or listening and your mind is somewhere else. It is that level of concentration. It is similar to what you see like in libraries, for example. You should be studying, all of us, we should be studying the Quran, again, as a student who is studying the textbook, that he or she is going to be tested about it. Studying the Quran as if you are going to be tested about it, as if you are preparing for a test, that there will be questions that you need to ask. Or as a teacher who's going to teach you. That's even better. That you study the Quran as if you are a teacher, that you're going to give a lecture or a session about that surah or that page, so you prepare even at the deeper level, more than even a student who will be tested about it. And if you aren't having that relationship with the Quran, you really don't know what you're missing. Anybody who does not have that type of relationship with the Quran, the regular, consistent studying with concentration, really don't know what they are missing. You cannot imagine what Quran will do if you maintain that relationship or that regular session of studying the Quran. And try it. Try it, and the best time to try it is in Ramadan. Try it and you'll see what difference it will make. Just to bring the idea closer. Imagine someone who is exercising daily. How their body will look like. Very fit, very good shape, physically. If you do that with the Quran regularly, that's how your spirit and your iman will be. Be in very good shape. Again, those who exercise daily, they become very fit physically. Those who have regular session with the Quran will become very fit spiritually. That's just one way, one benefit that you get from the Quran. Same thing with your iman and spiritual health is you get with regular session of the Quran in the same like regular workout or exercise. Quran is a book, as we know, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who loves you more than a mother loves her baby. So this is a book coming from Allah, who loves you more than, as the Prophet ﷺ said, more than a mother loves her baby. So He loves the best for you. He loves to see you happy and successful. And that's why He revealed Quran. He revealed Quran for that. So that's what we're missing when we're not leveraging the Quran. It is coming from your Creator, who loves to see you happy and successful in this life and in the hereafter, and gave you the Quran for that. Send the Quran, reveal the Quran for this purpose. And it's coming from your Creator, who knows you and knows what is best for you more than yourself. Just always remember these two things about the Quran. The book that you have at home or in your phone, on your phone, is a book from your Creator, who loves the best for you and knows what is best for you. So you should be very thirsty and eager to study this Quran, to learn it and say, no, we study so many textbooks just because to get a degree, to get a job. We don't do the same for Quran, for who is the book that is meant to secure and direct us and guide us to our happiness and success in this life and in the hereafter, much bigger than having a job or having a degree. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed Quran as a guidance, roadmap, manual that has the direction to His Ridwan and to Jannah, and therefore to your happiness and your success, because this is one and the same. Allah will be pleased with you when you are happy and successful. That the two are connected. And it is the biggest treasure that we have. The biggest treasure is not your bank account. It is that Quran that is sitting at home or on your phone that you're not leveraging it. It is the biggest treasure that we have, but unfortunately, vast majority of Muslims are not leveraging it. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we revere Quran, but we don't leverage it. It's like we revere the Prophet, but we don't take it as a role model. We revere Ramadan, but we don't leverage it. We have that split personality or dichotomy that has to be fixed, and therefore our deeds have to be consistent with what we claim. If you revere the Quran, then you study it. If you believe in the hereafter, then you actively prepare for it. Otherwise, it is very superficial. That's when someone came to the Prophet and asked him, when is the day of judgment? He said, what did you prepare for it? Because that's what it means. That's what is important for you. What matters for you is to be ready, not when it's going to happen. So believe in the hereafter, prepare for it. Love Allah, do everything fi sabilillah. Revere the Quran, study it. Respect the Prophet, take him as a role model. That's the consistency that is missing. Now, Quran cleanses your heart, clears your mind, I'm telling you, increases your iman. Quran and Salah for your spiritual health, it's like diet and exercise for your physical health. Quran and Salah, taking good care of your prayer. It's like eating healthy diet, not just performing prayer, quality prayer, the prayer that will produce the results. Quran and Salah for your spiritual health have the same exact role or similar role to diet and exercise for your physical health. So why, given all of these benefits, why majority of Muslims are not leveraging the Quran? For the very same reason. Now we all know that diet and exercise is good for you, is necessary for your good health. But how many are doing it? And why people are not doing it even though they know? One, laziness. People are lazy. lack of willpower. They cannot restrain themselves from junk food. They cannot restrain themselves from unhealthy food, or lack of awareness. There are people who are not aware. They don't have health awareness. Very similar when it comes to the Quran. Same thing with the Quran. People, either laziness, lack of willpower to commit to a daily session with the Quran, or lack of awareness of those benefits that I was talking about, with two more reasons that are preventing people from leveraging the Quran. One, vast majority of Muslims, they think they know their religion enough and they are doing what they are supposed to do. So the very motivation to go and study the Quran is not there. And if I know subject, let's say I took this course before, I know, why should I go and attend it or study it? If you have that feeling, you need to resist it. That's not true. You will never reach that point. None of us will ever reach that point where what you know is enough or what you're doing is enough. So that temptation, that's whisper from shaitan, you need to resist it. As long as you are living, you should be in the business of learning and improving and doing more fi sabilillah. Second reason, unfortunately, that's a very widespread perception, is that the Quran, I'm not able to understand it. It's only for scholars, which is totally wrong. Now we created some sort of clergy in Islam, even though it does not exist. Islam is a relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Each and every Muslim can and should study the Quran. So that also something that you need to resist. That I will read for barakah and for ajr, but I cannot, and it's beyond me. That's not true. If you make the effort, you will understand it. You learn something that are very complicated. People learn some specialties that are so complicated. There are neurosurgeons. People did not say that's beyond me when they wanted to do it. You're telling me that we cannot understand the Quran? That's not true. That's not true. So I'm going to tackle these two problems and points, and hopefully Ramadan will tackle the laziness and the lack of willpower. Hopefully Ramadan will provide you with that so that you can acquire this habit once and for all, which is to have that regular session and daily session with the Quran and studying it in the same way that you studied it in college. Number one that we have to realize to fix these two problems is that, unlike what we were told, our deen is not about praying and fasting. Because if that's the case, then we already know. That's not true. It's much bigger than that. And Quran is not a book of fiqh that you tell me, I know what is halal and what is haram, so I don't need Quran. There is very little fiqh in Quran, actually. Quran is, this deen is essentially a relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is a life mission with ultimate purposes. This is the three essential items in our religion. Tawheed or the Iman, relationship between you and Allah, that translates into fulfilling a mission with maqasid. And Quran works on all of it. That's why it is badly needed. If you embrace Islam as a life mission, you will need the Quran. You cannot go a day or two without it. Why? One, Quran makes you or helps you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore strengthen that relationship. There is hardly a verse in Quran or a passage without a touch of Tawheed. A lot of verses, they end with names. إن الله عليما كان عليما حكيما غفورا رحيما. A lot of verses have the names and attributes of Allah. And sometimes inside the verse, there is a touch of Tawheed. Why is that? That's to strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Quran already works on that important relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why it is needed? Because that relationship, if it is not maintained, it goes up and down. It's like Iman. Iman increases and decreases. It's not one-time deal. Islam is a process. It goes up and down. It needs to be maintained and it needs to be strengthened. Otherwise it will deteriorate. As the Rasul ﷺ says, إن الإسلام إن الدين لا يبلى كما يبلى ثوب. إن الإسلام لا يبلى كما يبلى ثوب. إن الإيمان لا يبلى كما يبلى ثوب. ألا فجددوا إيمانكم. Quran remind you in different ways of your mission in life. What is expected from you? Why you are here in this world? What is it that you're supposed to do? We tend to forget that. We are so busy. There are so many distractions in life, makes us forget that. Weakens our relationship with Allah, weakens our belief in the hereafter and our members, and makes us forget about our purpose in life. Quran will remind you of that all the time. Strengthen your spiritual immune system. It will make you less vulnerable. Why? Because in Quran will remind you in several places about your staunch enemy. The story of Adam is not repeated in Quran for no reason. It's just to remind you that unless you work on your Iman, unless you move forward, there is someone who's pushing backward. So there is no such thing as that you're going to be stagnant. If you are not working to move forward, there is Shaitan who is working day and night to push you back. So Quran reminds you and strengthens you in the face of your enemy and his tricks. How he will beautify the sin for you like he did with Adam. How he will promise you illusions. قال هل أدلك على شجرة الخلد وملك لا يبلى. He'll make illusions for you to lead you to do haram, to mislead you, and he just wants your destruction. So Quran will remind you of this, will make you more alert and more aware and more immune, and you become more difficult target for Shaitan. Quran increases your motivation to do good. And Quran does all of these in a very efficient way. In Quran, Allah will tell you about the people with whom He is pleased in several ways. Sometimes the verses will praise those people. Sometimes it will tell you that these people ended up in heaven. And then the verses will tell you what they were doing in life, or why Allah is praising them. That's a motivation for you to be like them. The message there is for you to be motivated to, because the Quran is very eloquent. It put that picture, nice picture of these people, that you find yourself very eager to be like them. And on the other hand, strengthen your ability to restrain yourself in several ways, and very efficient, very eloquent ways. Shows you the very ugly picture of these people who commit the haram. Very ugly in this life, sometimes sarcastic. إنهم إلا كالأنعام بل هم أضل سبيلا. It's like cattle or even worse. These people who follow their desires. رأيت من اتخذ إلهه هواه. Someone who makes a very silly deal. بئس ما اشتروا به أنفسهم أن يكفروا. They sell, they lose their life and the hereafter for nothing, just for kufr. من كسب سيئة. They think they are gaining, but at the end of the day, they're gaining something that is harmful for them. It's an amazing way and effective way to portray that ugly picture of these things, so that you find yourself much stronger to restrain yourself from them. And of course, the scenes from the Qiyamah. But these people ended up in a terrible situation, regretting what they have done. And in this life, all of that is to increase your ability not to be like them. And Quran is full of verses of the two categories. That's meant to keep your spirituality vibrant. Relationship with Allah is strong. Motivation to do good is strengthened. reminder of your mission and your enemies, and then your ability to restrain yourself. All of this can be achieved in every session with the Quran. Because the Quran is not like a book by chapters. All of these meanings are scattered in Quran. So you say in the same passage, you will find all of this. And that's the whole idea. That's what's unique about the Quran. It's not this chapter about no. It's not it's scattered so that any page that you are reading and you're reflecting, you will get most of these benefits from the Quran. So increase your motivation to do good, and then also strengthen your ability to restrain yourself. Which shows you these people on the day of judgment regretting what they have been doing in life. That's a message for you to avoid it here. It reminds you that you are on a mission and strengthen your ability to fulfill it and face the challenges. The stories of the prophets, they are meant to strengthen your ability to fulfill your mission. Actually, even the Prophet ﷺ, Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, needed those stories. وَكُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. Rasul ﷺ was on a mission facing a lot of challenges, so Allah was telling him those stories to strengthen him. If Rasul ﷺ needed that, how about ourselves? So when you read the Quran, another benefit, major benefit, is to remind you that you are on a mission and to strengthen your ability to fulfill that mission. كُلًّا نَقُصُّ عَلَيْكَ مِنْ أَنْبَاءِ الرُّسُلِ مَا نُثَبِّتُ بِهِ فُؤَادَكَ. That's even, all of this is in the Quran, yes, all of this and more, and much more in the Quran, and that brings us to the conclusion, people who are not having that relationship with the Quran, they don't know what they are listening. وَتُوبِ إِلَى اللَّهِ إِنَّهُ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونتوب اليه. نعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا وسيئات اعمالنا. من يهد الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, don't miss this opportunity in Ramadan to establish that relationship with the Quran. I know habits are not easy to acquire and they're not easy to change, but this is your best chance. You are now, your willpower, your irada is very high, very strong. You can integrate this in your life, in your daily schedule. And same thing for any other good habit that you want to acquire, this is the best time. Of course, we cannot conclude without mentioning and remembering that, unfortunately, almost half a year and the massacre in Gaza is continuing. Situation is terrible in many parts of the Muslim world. It just, this one is much more highlighted and much more tragic. Keep them in your dua, especially in this month. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easier on them. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them ceasefire and put an end to this madness and this massacre and genocide. اللهم فرج كربهم ونفس كربهم وفرج همهم واجعل لهم من كل ضيق مخرجا ومن كل هم فرجا. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم اشف مرضانا وارحم موتانا توفنا وتراض عنا واختم بالصالحات أعمالنا واجعل خير أعمالنا خواتمها خير أيامنا يوم نلقاك. متعنا اللهم بنظر وجهك الكريم. ربنا ارحم والدينا كما ربونا صغارا وارحم موتانا وجميع موتى المسلمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين. صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وأقم الصلاة.